There comes a moment in every person's life when comfort begins to rot the soul. Not loudly, not suddenly, but slowly, in silence. It's in those quiet, ordinary moments when discipline either grows or dies. Have you noticed how easy it is to scroll for hours, to make promises to yourself you never keep, to delay your goals until tomorrow, and then the next day? That is not harmless. That is the slow erosion of self-respect. Why do some people wake up before the sun, push through pain, and stay committed when no one is watching? What drives a person to rise above distraction, to silence emotion, and follow through even when it hurts? The answer isn't talent. It isn't motivation. It's something deeper. It's discipline, built not in sunlight, but in fire. Not when it's easy, but when it's unbearably hard. Look at the blacksmith. He doesn't shape cold steel with bare hands. He places it in the furnace. He waits, and then he strikes. Again and again, until the shape is right, until it holds. That's what building discipline feels like. We must step into the furnace, again and again, because without fire, we remain shapeless. Welcome to Book Boost. If you've ever struggled to stick to your path, if you've ever fallen to your feelings, then this is the right place for you. This video will show you how to build unshakable discipline, not just with words, but with timeless wisdom. So make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It's time we reclaim our strength. Please drop down your one thought on believe in yourself in the comments. It might just touch someone who needs it today. Discipline is not about punishment. It's about becoming who we were meant to be. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. When we lack discipline, we become slaves to our moods, our fears, our appetites. True power lies in the ability to act, not react. To choose, not be driven. The Stoics knew this. They trained themselves to stay unmoved by comfort and untouched by chaos. They believed that the real battle is always within. Discipline is not something you wait to feel. It's something you become. Through action, through repetition, through fire. And the world may never notice the small things you do in silence. But you will. And that changes everything. The unbreakable mind, training in voluntary hardship. The mind is like a muscle. Left unused, it weakens. Fed only with ease and comfort, it becomes soft. But tested, stretched by hardship, by choice, it becomes powerful, sharp, and unbreakable. If you want discipline, you must begin by challenging your mind. Not by waiting for hard things to arrive, but by walking toward them with calmness. This is what few understand. Strength of character is not born in chaos. It is built by choosing discomfort when you don't have to. Why should a person walk into cold water when they could stay warm? Why should one skip a meal when food is available? Why should one sleep on the floor when there is a bed? The answer is not because suffering is beautiful, but because strength is. Voluntary hardship teaches the mind one thing: I am in control. It trains us to not depend on comfort, not fear loss, and not collapse when life gets difficult. When we do hard things by choice, we become ready for the ones we don't choose. The Stoics believe that discipline is not taught in books or through speeches. It is taught by experience. Seneca wrote, "Set aside now and then a few days in which you shall be content with the plainest food, the roughest dress, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition I feared?'" He meant that if you practice enduring less, your fear of suffering disappears. And once fear leaves the mind, strength takes its place. The problem is, most people live their whole life running from discomfort. They seek shortcuts, easy roads, constant entertainment, and avoid anything that challenges their peace. But that kind of peace is weak. It's a trap. Because when something truly hard arrives, a heartbreak, a failure, a loss, they shatter. Their peace wasn't built, it was borrowed. And what is borrowed can be taken away. Real peace comes from preparation. When you train yourself to face small discomforts daily, you begin to build armor around your mind. Cold showers, waking up early, fasting, silence, delayed pleasure. These are not punishments. These are tools. Each one says to the mind, "I am in charge, not you." And over time, the mind stops resisting. It obeys. It aligns. It follows. Think about a warrior. He doesn't sharpen his sword in the middle of battle. He sharpens it before. Every single day. Not because there is a fight, but because there might be. And when the day comes, he is ready. That is what voluntary hardship does to your mind. It prepares you. It makes you ready, not just for imagined pain, but for real life. And real life, as you know, doesn't always ask for permission. You do not become disciplined overnight. You become disciplined each morning you rise before you want to. Each evening you read when you'd rather scroll. Each moment you take the longer path, the quieter path, the one nobody sees but you. It is in these moments, small and silent, that the unbreakable mind is formed. And those moments compound. We all carry within us a lazy voice. A voice that wants pleasure now. That voice says, skip today. You've earned comfort. It's just one time. And the longer we listen, the louder it grows. But there is another voice too, a quieter one. The voice of reason. The voice that says, do what is right. Be still. Keep going. That voice is discipline. And the more you obey it, the louder it becomes. This is why the Stoics practiced discomfort regularly. It wasn't to impress anyone. It wasn't to suffer for no reason. It was to train the mind to stop fearing pain. To build a life that was strong on the inside, not just the outside. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled over millions, wrote to himself every morning, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. When you realize how short life is, you stop chasing comfort. You start chasing meaning. And meaning doesn't come from doing easy things. It comes from doing what is difficult, consistently, and with love. Discipline is love. Love for your future self. Love for your purpose. Love for your soul. When you skip comfort today, you're not punishing yourself. You're protecting yourself. You are choosing to carry the weight now, so you don't break under it later. Do not wait for the world to test you. Test yourself. If you cannot sit alone in silence, sit. If you cannot go a day without sugar, try. If you cannot bear boredom, face it. The very things that feel unbearable are often the doors to mastery. Open them, walk through, and keep walking. There is power in simplicity. You don't need to do 100 things to become strong. Just start with one discomfort a day. Wake up when it's hard. Finish what you start. Say no when you want yes. Train your body and mind to obey reason, not emotion. That is the path. And remember, this path is not glamorous. No one may applaud. No one may see. But you will. And you'll begin to walk taller. You'll feel the fire inside you grow steadier, calmer, and more focused. You'll notice you're no longer afraid of hard days, because you've been living them on purpose. That is what separates those who wish from those who act. One is a dreamer. The other is a warrior. And warriors are made in silence, in solitude, in struggle. They are made when nobody is watching, when you could take the easy path, but you don't. If you can do that, if you can keep choosing the difficult when it would be easier not to, you will not just become disciplined. You will become unshakable. You will become free. The war against the self, taming desire through reason. There is no enemy more dangerous than the one that lives inside us. Not the world, not other people, not even failure itself. The real battle begins and ends within the walls of our own mind. This is where the war is fought. And desire, wild, uncontrolled desire, is one of the most powerful forces trying to conquer us from the inside out. Desire is not always loud. Often, it whispers. It tells you to rest when you should push. It tempts you to choose ease when you should endure. It promises comfort, but delivers weakness. You see a goal, but then the desire for pleasure sneaks in. The bed feels warm. The phone calls for your attention. Food, praise, validation, distractions, they all appear dressed as harmless. But they are thieves in disguise. And every time we obey them, they steal a little more of our strength. The Stoics were not against desire because they wanted to suffer. They were against desire because they wanted to be free. They understood that the more we chase feelings, the more we lose control. Seneca once said, "He who is the slave of his desires is more a slave than the man who wears chains." That's because chains on your wrists can be broken. But chains on your mind, they tighten slowly. You may not even feel them until it's too late. Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to do the things you know you should do? Why your mind resists discipline? It's because part of you is not trained. That part wants instant pleasure, not long-term strength. That part wants reward without effort. And unless you take control of that voice, it will run your life and ruin your future. We are not born with discipline. We build it through resistance. Each time you say no to a temptation, you win a small battle. And these battles add up. Every time you choose to act based on reason, not emotion, you take back power. The Stoics trained themselves daily to desire less, not more. Not because they hated life, but because they wanted to live it fully, without being ruled by anything outside their control. Desire is a trickster. It comes in many forms. The craving to be liked, the need to be seen, the urge to escape effort, the fear of discomfort. All of it, desire. But ask yourself, where has chasing these things led you? Has it made you stronger? Has it given you peace? Or has it made you restless, always reaching, never arriving? To tame desire, we must first see it for what it is, a wave of emotion, not a command. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you must obey it. Just because something feels good now doesn't mean it's good for your life. That's why reason must be our sword. When desire rises, we must ask, is this helping me become who I want to be? If the answer is no, we must let it pass. Hard, yes, but necessary. There is power in denying yourself, not as punishment, but as purification. Each act of restraint is a step toward strength. Each moment you resist the easy path, you carve a deeper foundation for a powerful life. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He was reminding himself, and us, that the world will always throw distractions. But we get to decide what enters our soul. Every day, we wake up with a choice. Will we follow impulse, or will we follow purpose? Will we let our moods control us, or will we stand in reason, unshaken? It's not about perfection. It's about choosing, again and again, to be stronger than our feelings. The body craves comfort. The mind craves escape. But the soul, it craves truth. And truth is this: nothing good comes easy. Every great life was built through struggle, through silence, through saying no when it would have been easier to say yes. If we want to be great, we must be willing to face our weaker self and say, not today. This war never ends. The moment you let your guard down, desire will return. But this should not make you afraid. It should make you alert. Because every time you resist, you become more capable, more clear, more alive. The fire inside you doesn't grow by chance. It grows through choice, through discipline, through denying what is easy so you can rise to what is meaningful. You must become the master of yourself. Let no craving chain you. Let no emotion drive you blindly. Let no excuse make you small. The moment you act with intention, you take back control. That is how freedom is earned. That is how strength is built. That is how you win the war against yourself. And when others ask you why you don't follow every desire like they do, why you live with restraint, why you're not chasing what everyone else is chasing, smile. Because they will never understand what you are building inside. They don't see the temple of strength you're constructing, brick by brick, with every disciplined act. But you see it. You feel it. You live it. Let them chase noise. You chase clarity. Let them seek attention. You seek mastery. Let them follow impulse. You follow reason. Because you know what they don't. Desire is loud, but it's not wise. And only those who rise above it will ever taste real freedom. The silent architect, designing a life of discipline through daily rituals. Discipline does not come with noise. It does not shout. It does not announce its arrival. And it does not beg for attention. It is silent. It is invisible. And yet, it builds everything. The strongest minds are not made in one sudden moment of inspiration. They are built day after day, brick by brick, through small actions that the world doesn't see. This is where most people get it wrong. They chase big changes, dramatic shifts, overnight transformations. But the Stoic knows better. A Stoic doesn't look for explosions. He looks for patterns. He doesn't ask, what can I do today that will change my whole life? He asks, what small thing can I repeat every day that will slowly shape my life into something unshakable? Rituals. That is where true power hides. Not the kind you perform once and forget, but the ones you live with. The ones that shape your mornings, your nights, your thoughts, your habits. The things you return to, even when you are tired, even when you don't feel like it, especially when no one is watching. There is a strange comfort in repetition. The comfort of knowing that even when everything outside is chaos, you have something stable, something that holds you. A morning walk, a cold shower, sitting in silence with your breath, reading one page of timeless wisdom, writing down your thoughts, practicing restraint when anger rises. These rituals may seem small, but over time, they become the walls of your inner fortress. You become what you repeatedly do. That is not a theory. It is a fact. Seneca knew this. He wrote, "Each day, acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well." He wasn't talking about collecting things. He was talking about preparing your soul. He was talking about daily discipline, daily rituals that train your spirit to endure. And the beautiful part? You do not need perfect conditions. You don't need to feel good. You don't even need motivation. Rituals are stronger than emotion. They are decisions made in advance. They are actions taken without needing to beg your feelings for permission. You don't ask yourself, "Do I feel like doing it today?" You do it because it is what you do. That is the mark of discipline. That is the mark of someone who has chosen to live deliberately. You see, the world will try to distract you. It will offer shortcuts. It will whisper in your ear, telling you to rest a little more, to eat a little more, to delay your task just one more day. But rituals cut through all that noise. They bring you back. They remind you of who you said you were going to be. When the world is loud, your rituals become your quiet return to yourself. Some people build empires in the outside world. The Stoic builds his empire within. He becomes the architect of his soul. And just like an architect, he knows the design must be clear, repeated, precise. No room for chaos. Only order. Only structure. He wakes up and does the hard thing, not once, but again and again. Not because he is told to, but because he understands what happens if he stops. The enemy is not failure. The enemy is drifting. When you don't know what your next step is, when you move without aim, when your days blur together, that is when your strength fades. Rituals give you aim. They bring shape to your days. They give purpose to your pain. There is great nobility in doing the same thing every day, in rising with discipline, in doing your work in silence, in training your mind to serve you, not rule you. That's why Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire, still reminded himself every morning that he must rise and do his duty. Even he, with all his power, knew that discipline is built in the ordinary. He wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work as a human being.'" That is the Stoic way. You don't wait for inspiration. You don't beg for ease. You remember who you are. You rise. You follow your ritual. And with each repetition, you become stronger. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to suffer. It is about choosing a higher path. A path where your mind is not a slave to every feeling, every distraction, every craving. A path where your energy is directed, not wasted. A path where your identity is earned through consistent action. And yes, you will fall some days. You will miss the ritual. You will fail to show up. But even then, you return. The next day, you begin again. The Stoic does not chase perfection. He chases progress. And progress lives inside the ritual. This is why we must build our lives with intention. We must become the architects, not just of what we do, but how we do it. Not just of goals, but of systems. Systems that hold us up when our motivation dies. Systems that protect us from the storm. Systems that train us to keep moving, no matter what. Discipline built through ritual is different. It is quieter, deeper, and far more powerful. Because it does not rely on willpower. It becomes your second nature. You don't have to force it. You flow into it. The same way a river knows where to run. You rise, and you walk your path. Because you've walked it so many times before, it's no longer a question. It's who you are. This is the kind of discipline that lasts. Not the kind that burns bright and dies quickly, but the kind that stays. The kind that survives heartbreak, failure, fatigue, boredom. The kind that slowly turns you into something unshakable. The kind that no one can take from you, because you built it yourself, in silence, one ritual at a time. So let them mock your habits. Let them laugh at your routines. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to rule yourself. And the one who rules himself, rules everything.